Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, AEW NXT, as the war continues. There's a couple pages on X that have been making a mountain out of a molehill here. 2 weeks ago, on the 4th, AEW had a issue with Spectrum and DirecTV on TBS guide. I know this because I was one of the ones affected by it. AEW taped in the afternoon and taped 2 hours of Big Bang, or I taped mine over, so I taped 3 hours of Big Bang. When I set it to record the 7 o'clock Big Bang, it didn't record it. So there was an issue with the recording with the guide. Not everyone's able to watch this stuff live. I'm not. And so I had to watch it on TBS app the next day, so I wasn't included in that. So that's where the ratings discussion began. And then last week, we know NXT did the John Cena, LA Knight, Asuka, Paul Heyman, Cody Rhodes, The Undertaker. And then they handily beat AEW. We come to this week, and like I've said on social media, and I said, look, you know what, this week is going to be kind of where we're at here, you know. This week, AEW 901, NXT 798. About normal for both companies. So far, in the 42 weeks of this year, AEW's had has had 42 shows, 600 or more. 41 shows, 700 or more. 40 shows, 800 or more. 12 shows, 900 or more. And 2 shows over 1,000. This one was 901. NXT's had 28 shows over 600, 12 shows over 700, 4 shows over 800, and then 1 show over 900. I like the guy on X that was saying that AEW is losing their fans, that AEW is going out of business, and AEW is not going to be around much longer because they're losing ratings, they can't keep anybody, and all this. Now it's like, well, they haven't done a million views in a long time. 40 weeks since they did a million views. So which is it? Is the sky falling, or we're not to a million? Because NXT is not even close. The only way that NXT can beat AEW is when they put the main roster stars on there. Otherwise, AEW wins. AEW's had 2 over 1 million views this year. That's it. Everything else has been pretty much in the 9s, 12 of them, and definitely in the 8s. Here's the comparison. When everybody is like, NXT is their 3rd brand. Yes. AEW has 1 brand. Okay, I'm right there with you. I understand all that. Here's the difference. WWE, 60 plus years. Raw, 33 years Raw's been on the air, or since Raw started in 88, so what, 25 years? Or 30 years? SmackDown's been on 25. AEW's been on 5. So you can't really compare Raw and SmackDown to AEW. I know there's a bunch of former WWE stars on AEW, but AEW is still a growing company. 5 years. There's companies that didn't even make it 5 years in the professional wrestling business. It took WCW from 1988 through, 96-ish before they beat, as a matter of fact, let's take a look here and see when WCW actually began. So October of 88 is when Ted Turner purchased Georgia Championship Wrestling and Jim Crockett Promotions. Dynamite came out in, let's see here. Or Nitro came out in 95. Nitro did not beat Raw until mid-96. So, 8 years the company was in business before it even came close to WWE. AEW's been in business for 5 years. So let's just slow the roll trying to compare the two. If we want to compare NXT because it was on Wednesday nights, and we all know AEW smoked their asses and they jumped over to Tuesday nights so they wouldn't get their ass kicked again. and then they bring the main roster up and everybody watches. That's fine. That's part of it. Here's what NXT gave us this week. You know what? Actually, let's look back at last week on NXT, because everybody likes to compare ratings. Ratings is based on what we're watching. So here's last week's card for NXT. Asuka and Roxanne Perez. The Brawling Brutes, which is Butch and Rich Holland, main roster guys. Tyler Bate versus Gallus. Gallus is one of my favorite. Ilja Dragunov and Dominik Mysterio for the NXT title. Lola Vice and Danny Palmer. Carmelo Hayes versus Bron Breakker with John Cena and Paul Heyman at ringside. And Taker came out at the end. That's a pretty stout card. That's a pay-per-view or premium live event level card. Here's what we got this week. The Bada Bing, Bada Boom Tag Team Battle Royal that Chase U won. Okay, it was an okay Battle Royal. Then we got Carmen Petrov and Jada Parker. Never heard of either one of them. Lila Valkyrie versus Tegan Knox. Pretty good little match. Those are two of the top women on the brand. I get it. Shotzi versus Kiana James. That was kind of a carryover from last week. Okay. Another breakout tournament, Indiana Grace and Brenly Reese. Never heard of them. So, there's two breakout tournament matches for a total of 5.5 minutes. Let's see here. 6.5 minutes. And then the Kiana James loss was 7 minutes. Then we had the triple threat, which we advertised most of the shows if we had a four-way. Then, who attacked Trick Williams? Carmelo Hayes, Baron Corbin, and Dijak. Actually, it wasn't a bad match. So we got four women's matches. On NXT, we got a carryover of Jay White and Penta Zero Mieta. We got number one contender Hikaru Shida versus her trainer, Emi Sakura. We had the Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth, kind of squash match. But we carried on a storyline with Wardlow and MJF. If you follow AEW at all, you know Wardlow used to be the bodyguard of MJF. MJF kicked him to the side. Now he's after him. Then we had Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher, which was a 4-star match. Kyle Fletcher, part of Ozzy Open, yes. But United Empire would kill with Will Ospreay, who Don Callis is part of Will Ospreay's part of Don Callis' family. Kyle Fletcher's part of Will Ospreay's family. So it ties all that in with everybody against Kenny Omega. Then we had the Lance Archer, basically domination match. And then we had a Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal, which Juice Robinson won. We had Jay White attack MJF. We carried that on. Juice has a match with him next week. So it's pretty much everyone versus MJF. So we carried on the same storyline from the week before. Nothing really carried over. I mean, that one match, Sachi and Kiana James carried over. But then we had a number one contender match with Carmelo Hayes. What was the Bron Breakker match last week? Oh, that was just to get John Cena and Paul Heyman there, I guess. So, yeah, no wonder the ratings were the way they were. Here's the thing, people. Every wrestling company should be able to succeed. There's hundreds of wrestling companies out there. They have anywhere from 50 people to 10,000 people in the arena to watch these matches. There are some independent companies, their matches are better than WWE and better than AEW. It's just simple. Because those guys aren't doing the storylines, they're just basically doing good matches. So, if the better the whole wrestling profession is, all the wrestling, the better the industry is, the better each company is going to be. The only people that win from that is us fans. If we turn on NWA, I guess they have announced for CW possibly, I think it's a rumor right now, but anyway, they get a TV deal. That just makes more wrestling available. The more wrestling that's available for the average fan to watch, the more AEW has to step up, the more WWE has to step up. The better they step up, the better the storylines are, the better the matches are. Again, it's nothing but a win-win for fans. Instead of complaining about a company only getting 900,000 views, or 900,000 fans watching, and the other company getting 780,000, or 798, let's look at the part that we have 1.7 million people watching NXT and AEW. Let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate the fact that SmackDown gets over 2 million. Raw's getting 1.5, I think. That we're getting those people to watch other wrestling. You watch an AEW show, maybe you see Adam Copeland, maybe you see a Christian. Hey, those guys used to be in WWE. That's how I started watching TNA. I still watch Impact Wrestling today. Because the first TNA show I watched, it was Jeff Jarrett versus Christian Cage. Sting was on that show. Whoa, I know these guys. So now I'm going to watch this company. Same way here. You watch AEW and you see a Kyle Fletcher. Oh, Ozzy Open, I've heard of him. Will Ospreay, I've heard of that guy. I like how he wrestles in Japan. Maybe I'll check out Japan show out. Boom, there you go. Alright, AEW won this week. AEW has won all but 2 weeks in 2023. So that is 42 weeks, 40 weeks of AEW's won. Let's just enjoy what we have. The better it is, the better it is for us. That's my reaction to all these ratings. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader, sports channel content.